hearing from you on that. It's your call committee and your council that are seeking that kind of input. We just didn't see that as our role.
I'm sorry, I thought our rule here today was to put an input into what our individual thoughts were.
No, we already did that through the
I apologize, I didn't mean to get us this far off point. That way, I was just looking at the big picture here as.
Let me go here and then, because you're also, and maybe it's the same thing, but you're the one who raised this question about mission planning.
I just wanted to address that it's not a matter, you made the comment, details. If we can take a step back and get up here to 50,000 level perspective, it's not about details. The question that we're faced with currently is here's where we are in 2010. Where may we possibly be in 2015, 2020, 2025? What is the possible or foreseeable plan or plans, plural, to get us to those timelines? Should we be looking at that process of strategic planning now, and the question that council is faced with, or should we put on the brakes and wait until a new senior pastor is called? I think that makes it a lot simpler. That's the question. Not about details. It's up here at 50,000 feet assessing the whole, where we are today versus where we may be in the future. That's the question before council.
Okay.
And the pushback is that we shouldn't do that until a new senior pastor is called because it may make it unattractive to he or she in coming here.
Okay. I'm just going to keep going and still, I'll see if I can do a better job at answering at 50,000 feet.
Just to pick up on what you said about Holy Spirit and discernment, I think for every pastor who may be turned off by where we are, there, and you can correct my perceptions, my perception would also be that an equal number who would be excited to think about a congregation so involved in their mission and ministry that they're really continuing to move and plan. And you know, it's just one of those things that I think we just continue to pray about and trust that among the leadership of the Holy Spirit is active enough to get you moving in a way that would be attractive to whoever God thinks would be best here.
Yeah, I mean, if that's a response to your question at 50,000 feet, that's pretty much where I'm at. I think some of the best pastors we have across the ELCA are ones who are going to see a congregation that continues to grow in its mission even during a time of interim ministry. Does that help? And I think that's consistent. I mean, you may not agree with that. I'm not asking if it helps that you agree with it. I'm just asking if it helps in terms of where I'm coming from.
Yes, thank you.
And our experience.
Everyone, I just want to say that the last weekend in January and the first 2 weekends in February, every member of the congregation that attended worship services had the opportunity to fill out information that went into the profile development. So we've done that aspect of gathering data for the profile and direction. You may not have realized what you were working on, but you had the opportunity.
We're almost out of time. Judy, you had...
I was simply going to help also clarify the fact that Craig just mentioned that congregation members had that opportunity. Call committee, council, last council persons that were leaving council were invited, some of the staff and the pastoral staff, and we spent an entire day working on a profile that the ELCA has developed, and incorporating all of the answers that you have given us as congregation, and all of that was put together in a profile. Now all of that information is being gathered and put together by Patricia Graybell, so that we can look at that as, again, a council and a call committee and say, yes, this is who we are. We as a congregation have spent time doing that. So yes, you have been part of that process by the questions that you were asked to fill out.
Right. Next week? The other questions? Let's go back there. All right? With Pastor Eschbach. And as he said in the beginning, both of us and the bishop's office of the synod want to continue to accompany you and be a resource for this congregation in whatever way we can. So even after next week, you know, that's not goodbye, see you in 10 years. Okay, assuming we're still around. If you're still around, well, right. Oh,
Is there any possibility that for those of us who either couldn't make both of these or one of these, one of you fine gentlemen could write up for our newsletter some of these?
It's
Oh.
being video recorded.
Excellent.
I'm just standing back here being a wallflower.
Is that?
That
Yeah.
would be great.
Good.
Is that gonna be available on the website then?
Jeff?
We'll work something out.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Someone was asking if there are any quick answers to any of these questions. This one's easy.
Oh, yeah.
How broad is the search?
Yeah.
ELCA. This is how it happens. For a number of reasons. One is that the Synod's website has all of the congregations in the Synod who are looking for pastors. Okay, so the internet's there. The second thing is that there is a new sort of, because of technology, both in terms of the congregation profile and a pastor's mobility, what's called mobility papers, that is like a pastor's resume. They're all electronic now, so that it's broad, it's national, all right. I would just, you know, for myself, and Pastor Eschbach gets all of next week with you, so if he wants to correct anything that I said or disagree, he can and he will. Because that's how we are with each other, all right? Disagree without being disagreeable. I think that the size, in my experience, the size of the congregation and the pastor's experience is very important. There have been some studies done on that. It's not to say that some pastors can't grow and don't grow in their leadership, so that if they've led a congregation of average worship attendance of 300 people, for example, that they couldn't lead a congregation of 800. But, you know, any call committee is going to want to ask about not only their experience, but how they have actually conducted themselves. This would be true in any case, but in order to have some sense about how a prospective pastor might go from 300 to 800 and all the dynamics that go with that, you're going to ask about how they did that. But I think, to be even more specific, there are some studies that indicate that pastors who have literally grown up in larger congregations are oftentimes better suited to lead larger membership congregations.
Stewart's church wasn't nearly this big. Here.
Right. So I'm just, you know, there's not a black and white answer on that. And that's a good example.
I'm assuming that the search committee, call committee will still have in their hands before they interview anyone, a skill set of the pastor they will be interviewing.
Yeah. Yep.
A skill set.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think those are the. Yep.
It's a little.
Available for call and number of congregations searching, the ratio question. There are, because we do now look nationwide, there are any number of pastors that would be available and qualified to be considered for the position here. I don't think the supply is an issue. Number of congregations searching changes almost weekly. Right now within our synod, we're in a pretty manageable area where there aren't as many as there had been, for various reasons. Some of them are economic right now. Your senior pastor retired. We've had conversations with several pastors who said, I was going to retire in 2010. I think I better wait a couple of years now. Due to purely economic reasons. So in our synod, there aren't as many on our list of available as there had been.
You mean congregations?
Congregations. But the number of pastors available for call continue to be